Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and in the studio and the shrunken-ass table is, of course, Mr. Nate Newton. Nate, how are you, sir?
You're going to be missing kneecaps by the time this is all said and done.
I took the leaf out of this thing, and I thought, okay, I'm going to open it up a little bit more. I need the space. A lot of shit going on. As soon as we sat down, I think I broke my left patella.
Is that even in your leg?
I had no idea.
Yeah, neither do I. Yeah, your pendulum. Yeah.
Tapella?
Yeah.
Which I don't know what it is. My kneecaps are tiny anyway.
Yeah, I've seen your legs. It doesn't surprise me.
I don't do legs.
Yeah.
Makes my dick look bigger, okay? Optical illusion, say what you want. Katie, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend that's way more fit than me.
Yeah, skinny's not fit, right?
It is not.
Yeah.
No, it is not. And skinny and old is definitely not fit. Oh, man.
Old gray bush, we used to call him.
That's a better term than gray beards.
Yeah.
The old gray
gray
bushes of the
bushes.
trades. Oh, God.
What kind of trade are you in?
Oh, man. I was in here last night working on the workbook for the 2-day event, and I just happened to look over and was reminded that you had gifted a bottle of Breckenridge.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To the studio, and I poured a glass, sent you a picture, and it's still the best.
Dude, can't beat it. That's a reserve bottle, too, right?
It's so smooth.
Oh, dude, shout out to Troy Phillips.
Thank you.
Yeah. At Battleborn Wine, we went and did a bourbon tasting over there. God damn, is that dude. I don't think there's anything about alcohol he does not know. Yeah. Like, no matter what your question is, the dude's just on it. And, dude, it was 6 shots of whiskey and, like, because those were like probably like 3/4 of a shot, half of a shot.
Yeah, in 2.5 hours.
Yeah. They sat well. I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that whole presentation.
Yeah. Yeah. And to like not just be sitting there drinking it, but having the backstories behind everything, like understanding how to nose a whiskey.
How to prep your palate.
Yeah. That was fucking crazy.
Now I do that.
Okay.
It was probably, I don't know, a few days later. I thought, I'm just going to have a glass, and I did the whole, like
the whole rigmarole,
like everything, and
I kind of want some fucking whiskey.
There's ice balls in the freezer and glasses on the shelf.
Right.
He knows what the fuck he's talking about. Like, as soon as you like shock that palate and prep it, it's awesome.
The aromatics, I can't. He was like, I detect lavender, and I'm like,
I can smell
what?
my mustache.
Yeah, right.
Good or bad.
Yeah, right.
I can smell my mustache.
It's all jizzy and whatnot.
Yeah, what?
What?
Like a fucking glazed donut.
Oh shit. But yeah, no, that was, and shout out to Ballistics and
Bourbon and Ballistics.
Yep,
yeah. Mr. Potter.
Yeah, Mr. Potter for bringing us along on that. We kind of lucked out and got in on some cancellations, and dude, it's always good to see Troy too. You know, I try to pop in there maybe once a month and get something different.
Because I'm not down that way very often. For me, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
But since that tasting, and it was bourbon tasting, to be specific, I would rather drive down there and buy from him.
Yeah. Yep.
Honestly, Katie was asking me, about it, and I said it was history blended with technique, blended with introduction of bourbons I had not had before. And she said, that sounds like right up your alley.
Right up your alley. Yep. You got to nerd out on something that you didn't know anything about.
Awesome. Yeah, it was so awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks to Joel for the invitation. And
there was some like really rare shit that he gave us too, that with him being as, immersed in that industry, where he buys full barrels and, does like, he really gets involved in the distilling process, and he gets bottles that are very rare that not a lot of people have. he could go sell them for $300, $400, $500 a bottle. Saves them all for his whiskey classes because he's like, I could make the money off of it, or I could create an experience and get you to come back in here again. I'm like, well, it fucking worked. So
that Knob Creek and the Remus.
Yep.
I really enjoyed.
I can't even remember what the names of them were. I remember the Knob Creek, but they did get like progressively. That whole palate reset thing was smart. Like halfway through, you know, where you work your way up to a high octane and then drop back down.
Well, his blend.
The bourbon. The one from the lead distiller at Breckenridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was bourbon in what, wine cask or something.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed that. I also like wine. For me, if I go to the restaurant or whatever, I can drink a good Cabernet. I like that dry, semi-dry red wine. I thought that was a really good combo for him.
Yeah, and the fact he got to go in there and make his own blend was fucking great.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm looking forward to the two of us, Bourbon and Ballistics and Joel, or Troy, sitting down together and doing having a conversation.
I think we should do another one of these fucking tastings.
I do too
on that podcast.
I won't spill the beans yet, but Joel is working on a location for us.
Oh, okay.
To do a tasting and smoke cigars.
Oh shit. Okay.
So,
God, that's gonna turn into a 4-hour fucking episode that nobody's gonna want to listen to.
That nobody's gonna drive home from.
Cat, you gotta pick me up.
Cat, you gotta drop me off on the way.
It went exactly like we thought it would.
So, but Joel and I have already started that conversation about kind of putting that together. So I think that would be a good time. Pausing. Here we go. All right, and we're back. Cheers. Yeah. Your addiction took over.
You just hear it in the background, just like.
I'm expressing my followship here.
Well, I'm quite the leader. What can I say?
You're welcome. Oh man. So yeah, we had to pour some of that Breckenridge that we were talking about. So no hard feelings there. But
oh God, I haven't had Breckenridge in a hot minute.
It's so good.
I think that's like, just personally, that's the best sipping whiskey. It's not overbearing. It's not too complex.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great.
I didn't know till you and I were in that tasting that in here is the only time that you drank it on ice.
Yeah. I usually drink it neat.
Yeah.
I like to burn.
Clearly.
Yeah.
And I know you're a fan of the Wyoming. And it's interesting because I know the Wyoming is like your number one or number two.
No, that's number two. Yep.
Yeah. So we share the Breckenridge as the top, and then our number twos could not be more different.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it's three fingers for me,
which is Canadian.
In Wyoming for you, and they are nowhere close to the same.
No. And I've never been into Scotch.
Me neither.
But when we did that
the
Japanese whiskey, it's distilled exactly like Scotch. But I thought that stuff was great for when I got married. One of my buddies from Sacramento that came up for the wedding got me it was like a fucking $200 bottle of Japanese whiskey. And me and my tattoo artist sat there and he tattooed me and we drank that whole fucking bottle.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
hey, grab two of those coasters off the top shelf. I'm not worried about the sweat. It's the damn noise.
I say, fuck your table, Josh. Keeps beating you up. You're trying to protect it.
I'm trying to figure it out. But no, the Japanese whiskey tasting that you and I have talked about it. It gives me a metallic taste.
Yeah,
for me, which is weird.
It's way too smooth too. It doesn't. I don't feel like I'm drinking alcohol.
I'm just not a fan. I don't like the flavor. I don't like the burn. I don't like you said, and the metallic flavor or metallic taste in my mouth. It's just that's not my thing. But this is my thing.
Yeah.
So.
As if anybody that's been a long time listener to this didn't know.
Oh man. Before we jump into the topic, as normal, you and I are having conversations before recording, and now since we've got a glass of whiskey out, what do you think's been your biggest lesson in business in the last 12 months?
Patience.
In what way?
In growth, that doing things differently and adjusting what you're working with and the people you're working with and expecting immediate results. Because I think that's where a lot of my frustration was coming from. Whereas, like, it goes back to that thing, knowing and understanding. I knew a thing needed to be done. I did the thing, but the result wasn't instantaneous. So I get frustrated and started having unrealistic expectations of people and systems and all this other shit. And I learned how to spot the signs of success. When we implement something, I can spot the signs of when it's starting to work. Because it never works right away, right? It's always clunky. It always has to be figured out. And I'm not used to that from the industry that I came from. When it came to the pipeline industry, it was all about me, right? I created the system. I implement the system. I work with the system.
And you generate the result.
Improved it as I went. And I think that was the hard part too, is allowing people time to improve upon what we've given them. Whether it's them improving the system or it's them improving themselves.
How does the impatience affect your narrative?
It really puts my ego in check.
The impatience?
No, the patience does.
Patience.
It puts my ego in check. I mean, the narrative. What do you mean by the narrative?
Just the story that you tell yourself about yourself or the business or the systems or the process. Why am I doing this? Are we doing this correctly? Mm-hmm. Should I hire this person? Should I fire this person? All of those are internal dialogue of a business owner.
Yeah. I mean, the patience definitely gives me time to see people's what they're good at and what they're not good at, right? It gives me a chance to look at it objectively and not being like, well, I gave you all the things, all the tools. Like, why are you not doing, why are your metrics not being hit that I have set for you? And then, but you start to see, well, shit, they're not really good at this part. Maybe we need to adjust what they're doing or put them in a different position or something, something along those lines. But I think the patience allows you to sit back and observe. And when you observe, data collection is going to help you make decisions in the future. And it's been I've complained enough about the last 6 months on here, but realizing that the climb out is a lot harder than the fall in. And it takes patience. It does. And it sucks when you were already at a certain level of success, and when you get knocked back, you're like, oh, we'll just get back there. Well, we know we fucked up. You can admit it all day, but it still takes time to get back up there,
And I know my experience of massive failure is that road is now closed. Mm-hmm. The path that you paved and took to that success, and you fall down, that road's closed.
I'm laughing because that's so fucking true. It really is. What got us to that point won't get us back there.
It won't get not even back there, let alone beyond it. But it will not get you back there.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the way Matt and I operate now compared to a year ago, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. It's a completely different company now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, ask anybody that used to work for us. They'll all tell you, the people that quit, that's why they quit. Like, this isn't the same place anymore. You're right. It's not. I understand. Mm-hmm. But yeah, having some patience to sit back and watch and observe and, help you make decisions moving forward with better data, with more unbiased data. Mm-hmm. It's a game changer. There's plenty of other lessons, but I think that one I'm such a high pace, intense person to begin with that, like even the guys that work for us that listen to the podcast, like Danny, our shop foreman, came in the other day and he was like, I was, listening to the podcast, and he's like, like you're very intense, like big burly guy, and then to listen to you talk about leadership and other people and, these goals and objectives and all this stuff. He's like, it doesn't match who we see, and so that was kind of eye opening as well, what I preach on here is not translating the same into the teams and the business. And it's not to say that I'm not doing the things. It's that I don't look the part. Mm-hmm. I don't portray the part. I'm still a brute, and I still say fuck a lot, and I still holler, I don't holler. I get loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a naturally loud person, so.
That's an interesting observation from him.
Yeah. Yeah, it caught me off guard.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because you and I don't work together, so those are sides of each other that we don't see.
Right.
Right. We see it momentarily, usually when I'm working for Battleborn.
Right. I'm throwing wrenches at you and shit.
And everybody's looking at me like, is he pissed?
Yeah.
It's like, no. So, yeah, that's interesting that he had that. Again, that observation. Mm-hmm. I like Danny, by the way.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, the dude's 50 years old, and he's had a long career already. And
that dude is so good at what he does.
Fuck, dude, he's a fucking hell of a fabricator, man. And he's got a great attitude all the time. And you know what I really respect about him is he speaks the fuck up. He's not going to let shit go. We every Monday morning we open it up like, hey, does anybody have any concerns? Danny will be like, yeah, I got something. It's like, fuck yeah, dude. Air that shit out, know? But that's a problem we have in these younger generations, It's that, I ain't going to say anything here, but I'll go bitch about it on social media.
Right.
And he's got it. He's got the job side or the task side of this industry down, and now he's in a leadership position. I don't know if he's ever been in leadership before, but like he's stepping up to the plate, dude, and he's asking the right questions, and he's, taking responsibility for things. And like, I think it might be one of those things that at this point in his life, it clicks, like he's been through enough shitty places. He's dealt with enough shitty people, and now he's got an opportunity to take the bull by the horns. Yep.
And one of the, things that you and I talk about a lot is you cannot be an effective leader without the maturity.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And when you've got someone that's been in their craft for 30 years, they've got scars, they've got stories, they've got experiences. There's a lot of maturity.
What does it take to gain maturity?
Bad experiences, evaluated bad experiences.
Right. Takes getting kicked in the fucking mouth, figuring out how to not get kicked in the mouth again.
Yeah. Yeah. John, one of my favorite quotes from John Maxwell, which I will tell you my favorite quote from John Maxwell is everything rises and falls on leadership. But one of my others is experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. Because you look at people having the same fucking experiences over and over again because they're making the same fucking decisions over and over again, and they get the same result. That's not an evaluated experience. You're not maturing. You're not growing.
It's like these pro-communism people. It never worked before. No, it'll work this time.
No, it's democratic socialism.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, it's still a pig. All right, how much lipstick you put on it?
No, man, wig, tutu. Not my fantasy. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
No, I was just curious because being around you and Matt and now seeing the team that you have, which the conversation that we had with the Van Winkles, I told you in that conversation, this is the best roster of high performers you guys have ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm observing is how that's going to affect yours and Matt's leadership performance and how it's going to affect your leadership maturity. Because we all know high performers require high performing leaders. And if you don't, they leave. Very simple.
Yeah. And I think if you were to bring in anybody from our old crew, you know, let's say people from a year ago, whoever we had, if you were to bring those people in and see how we operate now and how the business behaves and how Matt and I behave, dude, I mean, this, you know, recent bout of bullshit has really put us in check on what we need to provide people with in order to give them the best, you know, the best experience possible, to be the best business possible, to, you know, treat our people the best while still maintaining standards and culture. It's a lot different, you know, and I don't know if, you know, if they were to show up to this business again, you know, as a day one, like they didn't know us, and knowing that the people that they are, like, would they fit in still?
Right.
You know, and I don't know. I can't answer that question, but.
Well, Nick came to help you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And I know he has his business now, so he's looking at everything through a different lens.
Yep.
Which I'm sure makes him a better operator.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I didn't get to spend much time with him in the field. I just saw him around the shop, but you know, like he walks with a different swagger right now. You know, it's not as fast paced and angry and stompy. Like,
yeah,
and it's weird how you can pick up on those differences in somebody, especially when you've known Nick for fucking a decade now. You know? And to see a change in just the way that, you know, people change the way they walk depending upon how they feel, and I think, you know, especially starting a business, that's a humbling experience. You walk with a little more caution, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, the ego will creep back in, and then something will take the feet out from underneath you, and you'll get an emotional reset. It happens to all of us.
Right.
So, you know, Vlad is such a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, he is
Salt of the earth. Yep.
genuinely a good guy. He's abrasive as a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
I love that about him.
Yep.
But he's such a good guy. And I got to have a conversation with him a couple weeks ago, and same thing we all experience. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I know how to do the job. And, you know, I've got to learn the business side now.
Yep.
So I'm proud of him for doing it as soon as he's doing it.
No, he fucking better. You round us all the fucking time.
Such a good
I think,
guy.
you know, especially in the trades, like as we start businesses, and we know that we don't know what we're doing, but we have to try it out first. You know, there's a lot of, I think there's some other, you know, like tech industry or something like that. I think somebody would be much more inclined to hire a coach prior to starting, which is fucking brilliant. You really should. But there's something about the tough rough and tumble, gritty side of the trades, and it's like, well, let me fucking try and figure it out first. You're not gonna, you know, 95% of people won't.
You'll find your ceiling.
Yeah.
Right? You'll find your limitation.
Unless you're like fucking Derek with Hot Shot and just some reason knew what he was fucking doing right out of the gates. Yeah.
You know, outliers. We were talking about earlier, Sonny. Sonny's an outlier. You know. But yeah, I was curious. I was thinking about that, and again, watching the shift in you and shift in Matt, seeing the quality of people that you have. And I don't want to say anything. I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying anything bad about the previous people. But the truth is, you guys have another level, right? Your team is at a higher level than ever before. I was curious, now that you guys are starting to turn, the company's coming up, coming out of some of the stuff, kind of what your detached take, you know, was.
Well, I mean, I know you had a little rough bout with us too. So, I mean, how would you answer that question?
My biggest takeaway, one is, I can't do this alone. That's my number one takeaway from last year. Two is, no matter what, keep fucking going. And I will tell you that there were days that I might have moved a millimeter forward. a micrometer forward. You couldn't even see it. But you still get up and go every fucking day. And, you know, and I've had this conversation recently a couple times, but, you know, the turning point, and I'm not going to go all the way back in the history, but was the divorce, right? It was the hardest thing I've ever done, the hardest thing. And that put me on a behavior path that was not conducive, ended up in jail. And I ended up almost losing this business. I ended up financially, I had $364 in my account. And not knowing what the fuck I was going to do. Which is why I got that second job. I made some other, you know, strategic financial decisions, and I too am on the rise, like, you know, Phoenix in the ashes kind of thing. But and I'll tell you, the third thing I learned was every decision you make has a result. And that result might show up today, and it might show up a year from now. But every fucking decision that I made, I paid the price for it, good or bad.
Right.
I paid the fucking price for it. And I had a lot of time to think about it.
Because I mean, we basically went through divorces at the same exact time. And do you feel like, when it comes to high performers, when we go down hard, like hard. Like, and I was on the same boat. Like, the divorce was brutal, right? And it was a lot of mental anguish, you know, and whatever else. But I felt like I took the divorce a lot harder than I've watched some other people take theirs that were in worse conditions. But it was like the high performer in you, when you fail that miserably at something, at a, you know, like I look at my divorce as the largest failure I've ever had, and failing that hard at something, just like the bad decisions happen one after another. Like you said, this string of behavior that just, if you're going to go hard in the paint, go hard in the fucking paint, no matter which direction it is. You know?
100%, yeah, definitely.
And it was stupid. And it, like, I knew it was stupid while I was doing it, but it was like, I got to crash and burn. And
well, you know, so the other thing that creeps in is the imposter syndrome. And for me to be in the position that I'm in, and I don't take what I do lightly at all. And anybody that works with me knows that. They know. Yeah.
Anybody that hangs out with you knows that.
Touche. So when I started living these results of the decision I made, I was entirely an imposter. I felt like an imposter. I would tell you the saving grace in that whole thing of that whole shitstorm was Katie. Best fucking thing that's ever happened to me. Thankfully, she was like this, you know, flicker of light in this dark tunnel. And she reminds me, to be kind to myself.
To high performers, is that not just like...
I don't want to say it's impossible. Coleman and I were having this conversation just a couple weeks ago. And, you know, I said, if I talked to any human being on the planet the way that I talk to myself, I would be arrested for a fucking hate crime. Right. I mean, but again, for me, it's not about eliminating that darkness or eliminating that negative self-talk. For me, that's what fucking gets me through. I'm sorry. It's like, if I'm going to be a tough motherfucker and get through this, like, I've got to eat it.
You got to prove yourself wrong a little bit, right? Man. And I've been listening to the Modern Wisdom podcast a lot lately, and fucking phenomenal show. If you're not listening to that,
I haven't listened to that.
I sent you one of the episodes,
okay.
But there was a guy on there that he was talking about the, you know, successful. Like, he's interviewed a bunch of millionaires and billionaires and was trying to figure out like the mistakes of the wealth and being wealthy or being rich and what that looks like. But he was talking about how, same thing. His internal dialogue is really fucking rancid. And he got this tip from this guy. I was like, every time you say something negative to yourself, say something good about yourself right after. So he develops this habit of doing that. And he was fucking working on something and fucking nailed it. And he says he was standing there. He's by himself. He goes, good job. When the fuck have you ever done that to yourself?
I'm not sure that I have. I'm just like, yeah, that's what was expected.
Yeah, that's what had to be done.
Yeah.
But there's how much shit in your life have you done something and it was a great job, but you'll never fucking pay attention to that shit.
Right.
You'll pay attention to the fucking 5 seconds late you were to whatever.
Yeah.
Right? You'll call that out.
Yeah.
But I mean, and just like, it's hard to figure out how to be nice to yourself because it seems narcissistic. It seems childish, but fuck, dude, if all we do is beat ourselves up all the time, how do you think you're going to portray yourself to the world?
Yeah.
Like you're some incompetent piece of shit. And dude, we're kings of self-deprecating humor, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Katie does a good job of appropriately giving me praise, and which I'm not used to.
Yeah, Kat's that way with me too, and it feels weird.
It feels weird. It still feels weird. But I would say that a shift that I've made is I'm accepting of it now.
Yep. So it seems like fluff in the beginning, right?
Yes.
It's like, what do you want from what's your angle
I'm
here?
like, well, I could have done this better. That self-critical steps in, and it was interesting. The other thing too is what I've learned is you cannot evaluate when you're in the middle of it. Again, going broke, almost losing the business. I was 2 weeks away from losing my apartment, which meant I was going to have to fucking live with Matt, which I'd already had that conversation. I mean, Matt was obviously like, dude,
yeah,
you can fucking live here. But
right. He's like, you can have our bedroom.
Jail, like, you can't have this conversation when you're in the middle of all that shit. It's not productive.
Well, and it's too raw, like, and it's an emotional, it's an emotional moment, and when I say emotional moment, I was fucked up for a year.
Right.
But it was all the same feeling, and I think people don't understand that when they get divorced too. And my buddy Ryan Mingus, he's a firefighter out of Woodland, California, moved up here, and I was kind of talking to him right after I got divorced, and he goes, give it a year. Give it a year. You won't be fine even after that year, but you're going to start changing your perspective and no matter how prepared you think you are walking into that.
That's right.
And I have a buddy that's going through some shit with his old lady right now. And I told him, I'm like, leave everything on the table. Make sure you put everything into that, because you don't want to go down that fucking path, dude. You don't want to. I can tell you right now, you don't want to do that shit. Because I didn't do that. I didn't leave everything on the table, and I think that ate at my soul quite a bit. And ever since that, I am much more honest with people, and I'm much more upfront. I don't hold myself back because I'm afraid of hurting somebody's feelings. If it's the truth, if I'm just being a dick in my head, I'm like, that doesn't need to be said. But I'm much more willing to tell people the truth, whether or not they ask for it.
Yeah. Just a quick disclaimer is one thing that you and I agreed on in day one is authenticity in this podcast, and we've never sacrificed that. And I have only had this conversation with 3 people: you, my brother Matt, and Katie. And I've been hesitant, but it's going through experiencing what I'm experiencing now with the business and with what's going on. I mean, I'm on a fucking rocket ship right now. I now have the confidence to talk about the fucking dark, depressive, drunken, fucking stupid decisions that I made and went through, knowing that I still kept fucking showing up.
Mm-hmm.
The shell of me showed up some days, but the disclaimer is like, this is just real. It's just a real conversation.
Yeah, and we are by no means the only people that went through this shit.
And I'm not,
that will go through it.
And I'm not complaining. Because the reality is, like when I lost my first business, what a fucking tremendous experience it was to fall that far and discover my bottom of fucking everything. And stand up and go, all right, motherfucker, what are you going to do now? How tough are you really? Like,
changes your perspective of what
it
tough
does
is real quick.
It does.
Yeah.
It's like, how much grit do you really have? You know, how much perseverance is really in you? Are you going to give up? You're going to fucking quit? You're going to close the business? You know, what are you going to do? And those are hard questions to answer in the moment.
Yep.
But God damn, you're forged in those moments.
Dude, there's so much shit I can let slide off my back now. You know?
Yeah.
There's so much shit that I'm like, that doesn't fucking matter. You know? But, and I'm glad that we're actually talking about this right now, because I know I've been listening to a lot of stuff on men's mental health lately. And, you know, because we talk about it, we're advocates for it, you know, help being mentally healthy in the trades. But if it wasn't for you and like the openness we have, I would have been 10 times worse than I was. You know, we were both kind of going through the shit together, but dudes go through this kind of shit and they don't fucking talk about it, you know, and dudes end up losing their lives over it. They end up losing their families. They end up losing all their friendships, their businesses. They lose everything.
Yeah.
Because we don't fucking talk. And I'm not saying we need to go fucking cry together in a fucking corner somewhere, jerk each other off, like, be like, misery loves company, right?
Yeah.
To know that it's okay to feel the way you feel about shit, you know? And to know that there's a path that, like, hey, we're going to fucking get through this, dude. Like, yeah, we're going to hit the bottom. You know, I was renting a fucking room from an employee.
Right. Yeah.
You know? Like, and same thing, fucking tons of alcohol and just being a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You know? And it's good that we're actually talking about this for once, because we've been pretty hush-hush about it.
We have. I definitely
have.
I don't like to talk about problems until they're solved.
Right, yeah.
That's because I need to focus.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not a complainer, and I don't do shit for vanity metrics.
Right.
To be honest, I don't talk enough about it. Like we're talking about, like, you know, when I was talking to Matt about this a few weeks ago about my drinking, I would leave this office. I would walk uptown for lunch, drink 2 whiskeys and eat lunch. And then I'd come back and work, get on Zoom calls, fucking tell people how to run their business, tell people how to get shit done motherfuckers, tell people how to build a monster mentality. And then if I didn't have any more calls, regardless of what time in the afternoon it was, I'd fucking pour one of the bottles in here. And
you don't realize how easy it is to go through half a bottle of whiskey, right?
And you know, and Matt, who, you know, is one of the few people on the planet that knows me, you know, well, was like, I had no idea.
I didn't either.
Right.
And I'm in here every fucking Wednesday for however many hours with you, but we were also sitting here
drinking,
bitching on the podcast about, dude, life sucks, dude.
Yeah.
You know.
But no, it was, we don't talk about it. And I agree. There should be open dialogue. There should be open conversation about hard things.
Because it's so easy to, especially in a position like a divorce, where all of a sudden you're alone all the time. You know, if you don't have, you know, neither of us have kids. So like the divorce happens or whatever. And then you're just, I couldn't wait to go home, because I would never drink during the day. Right. But the moment I got home, fucking bet your ass I drink half a bottle every night.
Yeah. I wouldn't drink in the day if I had afternoon appointments, and, you know, but if I didn't, too easy. Too easy to
especially
be
with fucking the bar like a block up.
Yeah, two blocks up.
Yeah.
And obviously we always have bottles in here.
Mm-hmm.
And
I stopped putting it in the house.
yeah,
I had to do that to get myself away from it,
right.
And it was good. It was good to do that, like, and say like, you're not an alcoholic. You're going through some shit, that can be an option. You don't have to be a fucking alcoholic. And if you have to make some corrections on, like, if you know you're fucking up that bad and you make no corrections, well,
because the bargaining sets in.
yeah, enjoy the fucking trip, motherfucker. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you get the shit out of your face, and you and I are both fortunate enough that we live in such, I live all the way out in Pineview, like
right.
the way south end of town.
I live up in the ravine.
Yeah, exactly. So like being in those places, it's like you had to make a conscious effort to grab booze on the way home or make sure that it was stocked there,
right.
or work your angle on, oh, well, I might want this for the weekend, and you buy it on a fucking Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt asked me a really good question. He said, how did you take control of your drinking? And because my drinking every day started before the divorce. And then it compounded because then I had freedom and I had opportunity.
It's almost like we need somebody kind of watching us, right?
Dude,
you leave us to our own devices. We make horrible decisions.
I'm making so dumb decisions. So dumb. But he asked me that question and I told him, I said, I defined moments that I would allow myself to have a drink. Obviously, you and I are sharing a glass tonight. This is the only one I'll have. If I'm on a date with Katie and I want one, no more than two, I'll have a drink. The other option is if I'm not driving and I'm not going anywhere and I want to smoke a cigar, I'll have a glass. That's it. That's literally it. So I defined the scenario in which I would allow myself to indulge. And two, and probably bigger, is I had to rewrite my identity. I had to change my identity because that little town just up the hill from where I live.
That place is built on alcohol.
And when you go up there and you're one of the only guys over 6 foot tall with a beard and a cowboy hat smoking a cigar.
They're climbing you like a tree.
They fuck people, everybody. They love it. Right? So all of this.
It's almost like you're a prop to the town.
Just about.
Right.
It was, I started knowing who the bartenders were and I became known as a local. And so that was my identity. That was becoming my identity. And I could go up there on a Wednesday night or a Saturday night, get treated the same. I was a prop for all these fucking tourists, right? Because they would come up and be like, "Can we have a picture with you?"
Right. Yep.
What is going on? Like, this is weird. And then you start to like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like that when me, you, and Matt would go up there.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their cowboy hats on and shit, and it does look like you were put there to be a part of this.
Entertain.
And people treat you like that.
They do.
And it's great. Everybody's buying you drinks. And
they buy you drinks. Yeah.
Then you get some fucking elderly bachelorette party and they just follow you around all day.
Oh, man. I'm laughing because there were some funny, instances. And luckily, nothing ever went sideways.
Right.
Nothing ever went bad. Never got into, any fights. Everybody was always, But the problem was I continued to put myself in those situations.
It was going to happen.
Where it was okay.
Yeah, it would have happened at some point.
It would have. Right? Absolutely, it would have. Because the wrong person would have said the wrong thing at the wrong time. And then now somebody's got a problem with me. Because when I do drink, the tiny filter I do have
goes
gone.
Away. Yeah.
It's gone.
Right.
And I'm not proud of that either. That was the other thing.
That's the worst part. Both of us are like that too. So we get us in the same bar, and it's like
it's bad.
They're like, people are like, you can't say that, and I'm like, no, you can't say that. Yeah. I just did.
Yeah. So not proud of that. Not bragging about that. It's one of the defects of me drinking too much. But you know, when I got stuck in the back of that fucking squad car, which I did not fit in.
They put you in sideways, diagonally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm cuffed behind my back.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in this fucking thing sideways, like sitting at this table right now because my fucking legs don't fit.
Gotta put that leaf back in, buddy.
I'm gonna have to. And they, you know, they took me to jail. They cuffed me to a bench, processed me, put me in the cell. Now, absolute professionals that took care of me. Mm-hmm. Absolute fucking professionals. Obviously, I was professional, compliant, polite. And, you know, this dude's 5'6", on the side of a highway, 1 o'clock in the morning, pitch fucking dark. Mm-hmm. I know what I look like. I knew that he was afraid it was going to turn into a bad situation. Mm-hmm. You know, backup shows up. Now there's multiple cops there, the whole thing. But it was good. They were completely professional, treated me with the greatest respect. But when they put you in there and you strip down to your underwear and they give you red and pink stripes and the shittiest, cheapest pair of Crocs you've ever seen and a plastic tote full of bed sheets and covers and pillowcases, because you're going to sleep on this plastic wrapped piss preventative cot, basically. Mm-hmm. They let me stay in the holding cell. They didn't put me in with general population. They kept me in the holding cell overnight. You have no one. Mm-hmm. All your personal property is gone. Mm-hmm. Your attachment to the outside world, to social media, to text messages, to people is fucking stripped away. Mm-hmm. It's gone. You have as much time as you want to spend to think. Mm-hmm. In complete silence.
It's not everyone's gone. It's you and that little bitch voice are in there, right?
That's it. Mm-hmm. You know, and that is. And you have this really deep internal dialogue going. Mm. How the fuck did I get here? How long was it going to take before I got here? Mm-hmm. And one of the greatest pivotal moments in my life. Because the other thing that happens is, for me, I don't want to say this happens with everyone, but for me is, you know, when you're sitting in that dark cell, you come to a crossroad. And that crossroad is, do you want to keep going down this dark path and be this person? And you're going to be back here. Or are you going to change? Mm. And I remember, you know, sitting in jail at that fucking crossroad and going and having the conversation of, because the ego creeps in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll keep fucking doing this. I don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. Like, this won't fucking happen again.
Right. I learned my lesson, but I learned how to get away with it next time.
You know,
right?
and it does, like, the compromise kicks in, the bargaining kicks in, the justification kicks in, and you're like, and then it's like, well, maybe I am supposed to maybe I do belong in this path. Maybe I do belong down here. Mm-hmm. And then that eternal narrative, the justification of, you know, being a piece of shit, not being successful, not getting the things that you want. It's like, yeah, I can go down this path. Or again, you can make a decision and go down this other direction. You don't know what's down there. Mm-hmm. You know what's down the other path.
Right.
You know what it looks like. You've been doing it. Mm-hmm. Or you go down this other path. And for me, that's the path I chose. Mm-hmm. Thankfully. And then and Katie knows all of this. You know, I've told her this whole story. But Katie was on that path. Mm. She wouldn't have been
on the other one. Right.
So it was a phenomenal moment of discovery. Mm-hmm. And I have been fighting, clawing, scraping my way back up since September 19th, 2022. It's been that long.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been a goddamn fight
Mm-hmm.
every inch of the way, because every time you start to get a little momentum, fucking ladder falls.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do it again, and the fucking ladder falls. And then the courts get involved. And then the fucking attorney's involved. And then...
And if you're determined enough and you're willing not to go the other direction, you get used to that ladder falling out, and it makes it a little easier every time. Like, there's going to be some hiccup, and the first couple are fucking devastating, right? Those first couple setbacks when you're going through whatever the fuck you're going through, and then you think that you're upward bound, right?
Right.
Yeah, you are, but like they have those pictures of the path of success, what you think it is, and then what it actually is, and it's like,
yeah,
oh fuck,
Well, that was September of 22. Fucking October of 23 is when I was almost homeless.
Mm-hmm. It happens that quick.
It's, that's over a year-long process.
Mm-hmm.
Shit just doesn't fucking fix itself overnight. And
Right.
again, everything that I experienced in me, again, going broke and almost being homeless, and was a result of all the shit that I did fucking 6 to 12 months prior. It was just a fucking result.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's, but to your point, it's like, no matter what, you just have to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
You fucking, and that's one thing that I, looking back now, that I'm proud of myself for, is not giving up.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, no matter what, it's just, if you can move 1 millimeter, fucking move 1 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And again, now things are just, this is going to be an unbelievable year.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable year.
I agree.
And, Katie's moving out here in October.
Mm-hmm. Kat just moved out here.
Yeah. Which is, those two are so excited about that, by the way.
You and I will get some peace and quiet. I know that much. Like, hey, we're having girls' night. I'm like, yes, over there.
Good.
Yeah. Josh and I will be sitting on a porch drinking whiskey,
And
smoking a
cigars.
cigar, not saying a fucking word to each other.
I was going to pet this fart bag of a dog laying next to me. Yeah. I don't know.
I'm glad this conversation.
Me too. It wasn't planned. We were going to talk about something else.
Systems or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know.
And I appreciate you, because I didn't know if you were ever going to share that that journey. And I'm, with us being the advocates of mental health that we are, like, I'm glad you did, and because I know that there's somebody out there right now going through this, and it's dark and it's lonely and it's destructive, and let's say somebody doesn't have a Katie or a Cat, all they got is fucking Jack and Jim.
Yeah.
And that's, it's tough to see the forest for the trees when you're in that shit,
Yeah. But now I can't even measure how much tougher I am now. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't measure it. Mm-hmm. I know I'm fucking 10 times the man. Mm-hmm. 10 times the man that I was 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. That person that was sitting in that jail cell, I don't even recognize him anymore. Mm-hmm. And you can't hear it, but that makes me smile. Mm-hmm. That makes me proud to continue to make those decisions every single fucking day that move me in the direction that I want to be in, that moves me closer to the version of the man that I want to become. Mm-hmm. And I know, sharing the conversations I've had with my clients, I know just from what they told me, this is not a self-evaluation, that it always looks like I got my shit together.
Yep.
And it always looks like I'm ultra confident, and it always looks like I have the fucking answers. And again, that's not me saying that. I know that perception is there. I know how I carry myself. I know how I act. I know how. But
I'm good at shutting the world out.
yeah, it's a terrific toxic trait. Yeah, I'm okay with being completely isolated and alone, regardless of how fucking unhealthy that is, and just keep going in the darkness, and just keep fucking going. Dude,
I can smell it from
yeah,
over
she's
here.
bad.
Jesus Christ. We're gonna definitely need to put that leaf back on that table.
I know.
She likes to sit next to you in here, so
Yeah. So anyway, I'm fucking human, man.
yeah. And dude, I think there's far too many times that we always put our best face on. And I mean, because we've gotten that criticism on this podcast too, of like, you guys are kind of preachy, or, you make it sound like it's so easy, and it's, I even notice it in this podcast that when I go back and listen to shit, it does seem a lot more real than it did when we started, and not even when we started. I mean, even just us from 2 years ago, this feels more authentic, and it was authentic,
Yeah.
but it's authentic to the men we've become, and it's easy for people to think that, we just, you've just figured it out and good for you. It's like, you guys know, we've known the fucking shit that we've been through in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't just a divorce, it was a massive failure on a business end, and just shit catching up to me, and my ego had gotten out of control. Absolutely, it had. You know, and I was self-serving with everything. And it's fucking good to. And I'm glad you brought that up right now, because I'm, this is Kat's first week out here, and I'm feeling in a good place, and it's good to reflect on all of that, and really pinpoint where I fucked up along the way, and be able to pay attention at least, and not just like, oh, it's a closed chapter in my life. It's like, no, there is so much to be learned in that. And, at different points in life, you look back on other things and kind of get to have an aha moment with shit,
Yeah. But if you know how to, if you can change it just enough to use it as fuel, not even motivation, fuck your motivation, but just use it as fuel. Like, it's incredible what you can accomplish and overcome. It's fucking incredible. Yeah. So I don't know. Hopefully somebody's still listening. I think in 270 episodes, it's probably the most vulnerable I've ever been on the show.
That's the most vulnerable I've ever seen you. So.
Yeah.
Glad to
seen me, not even on the show, just fucking never seen me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm thankful for what we have. I'm thankful for this podcast and the real feedback that we get from people. People tell us when we're being drunk dipshits, and I fucking love them for that.
Yeah. God damn, it's especially when people like look up to you, and all of a sudden people don't call you out on shit, and we all fucking need it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, an employee called me out for some shit, and I was just like, oh fuck. That means so much more,
man.
And
what a great test of your humility.
Right.
It is. It does mean more. And I also get those emails where, somebody's like, hey, like, I found your guys' podcast. I was getting ready to close my business. I started doing these things. You guys changed my life. And it's like, you're goddamn right. I'm going to do this again.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. And the day after that.
That's enough to show up here for 4 years, for 4 hours a week, to do this. Like, that is worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's no money involved here, other than you spending it. So every time I show up, there's like some new electronic equipment, and I'm like, weren't you about to close your business? You're about to be homeless. You just bought a video camera.
It's how I was going to make my new money.
Casting couch or OnlyFans or something.
I was going to spread honey on my toes. Something.
And let a badger loose in the room.
What? Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, snuff flick.
Oh, man. Well, you ready to get out of here?
Yeah.
Me too, brother.
I feel like we've divulged enough.
Yeah. Yeah, divulge over. Yeah. You can find Nate on Instagram at Nate Newton 87. I am on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Email is thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Website's thetradesmanexperience.com. And the YouTube channel is The Tradesman Experience. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.